cover certain types of AI terms and just really get you guys up to speed on what's happening in AI. So, let's see here. I will share my screen. And for those of you who haven't met her, Flora is on our call today as well. Oh, there she is. Hi. She's been messaging you guys. She's our membership director and keeps me in line. So I'm glad she's here today.
Hey guys, I was not expecting to be on camera. Here I am.
You know, we keep it exciting around here. So,
Really, I promise.
okay. Flora, I'm going to give you host permissions just so you could let people in if that's all right.
Totally.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna keep it like this because, well, it's prettier, I guess, to present. Well, I'm gonna go back and forth and show you guys some stuff in ChatGPT. So we'll keep it like this. I know that there's a lot of tabs showing, and that's on purpose because we're going to be looking at some stuff in real time today. So again, thank you guys for being here. Super excited to get this AI 101 going. So I wanted to just start by saying that you guys have already been using AI in a lot of different capacities, and AI is not really a new thing when you think about how you've been using Alexa and Siri and the AI inside of Netflix and Google. It's always been, well, not always, but for the past 5, 6 years, it's been in our lives. But over the past 2 years, especially, it's just kind of inundated our workday and everything that we do. So I think that's why people might feel a little intimidated and feel like it's really nifty to have AI in tools that we can use for our everyday work life and our life. So that's been something that I found really cool is seeing this really expensive technology that large companies were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for, and now it's in our hands. And it's giving us immediate gains when you know how to use it the right way. So, just kind of understanding AI is basically when machines act and learn like humans. And so it really mimics humans' cognitive functions, learning, reasoning, and problem solving. You guys have probably seen when you're interacting with the LLMs that it really is like having a human conversation. And that's because it's been learning based off of other conversations it's been having over the past 4 or 5 years, depending on what tool you're using. So it learns from patterns and data, but it also learns from the entire internet. So it's trained on everything that's available online, along with these patterns and recognition about how humans speak. So, a couple key concepts that I think you should know. I've already said the term LLM. And so, an LLM is a large language model. And those are things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. And these are AI that's trained on massive data sets to generate human like responses. And so, ChatGPT, every time it has a new continue to grow because as time goes on, there's new. Some people wonder, like, why should I use ChatGPT versus Claude? They're all trained on different data sets, and then they're trained on how to respond and recognize different patterns inside those data sets. So, for example, ChatGPT and Claude are a little bit different because Claude's parent company, which is called Anthropic, is very big on training it on being non biased, being more human like. And it really has, for the past couple of years, seemed to emulate those traits. But as things go on and competition comes up, I've seen ChatGPT kind of doing the same thing. So those are LLMs. And then machine learning is systems that learn from data patterns to improve performance. This is really just a term. That's how LLMs work, machine learning. So it's really the science behind the LLM, and it's what's enabling the computer to see patterns, make predictions, and have those human-like conversations. Don't worry, this is the hard part, and soon we'll get into the fun of ChatGPT, but I do think it's important to learn some of these terms. And then natural language processing, this is the term, and it's the technology that does the conversational aspect of the LLMs. And so you'll hear about NLPs in avatars and chatbots as well. It's really, there's multiple different companies that are building NLP technology. So that's just a term that you should know because it's coming up in news. And now that you've heard it, you'll see it. It's like when you see a new car type and you're driving around and you see that car all the time, you'll see NLP all the time. And then neural networks, this is kind of like when you put all of these things together. And these are brain inspired models that recognize complex patterns and relationships. And they work together like interconnected neurons to solve problems and identify objects and data. And so a good example of that is we used to program computers to tell them what they're doing and what they're seeing. So for instance, if we would upload a picture of a cat, we'd say this is a cat. And now we could say, create an image of a cat, and it'll go find it and create it for us. So that's kind of the difference of how these platforms and technology are working. Okay, so those are just some of the terms and AI basics that I wanted you to know, because I know throughout our community we'll throw out like, what's your favorite LLM? Or we'll say these terms. So hopefully you kind of have a good understanding of what those are. These slides are a little bit wordy because I am going to upload these and share them. A lot of people said they couldn't make it live today. So don't feel like you need to read all these. And in fact, we're going to jump into ChatGPT now. But I just wanted to give you a little bit about ChatGPT. They're going to hit 7 million users. They're thinking this month. That is an incredible amount of users. If you think about that, there's 7 million people out there that are interested in using AI. So that number has just been going up and up and up like crazy. ChatGPT is really a chatbot that you can access. It's built by a company called OpenAI. And in 2023, when all the LLMs were coming out, so there was ChatGPT and Gemini was called Bard at the time, and a few others, but there was kind of like this race of the best LLM out there. And ChatGPT really just got a kickstart, and that's because it's a open API platform. And so they had developers around the world who could take copies of ChatGPT and build on it. And the amount of people and developers who were just really excited about this technology was astonishing. So we just had a lot of people building on it for free from passion. And OpenAI saw that and took what was working and kept applying these changes to ChatGPT. So that's one of the big reasons they kind of became the most popular LLM out of the gate, is they just kept advancing and advancing. I will say, I think Gemini has really given them a run for their money and for the best LLM. Over the past 6 months, especially, Google has just invested and changed their AI tools so much. And so we've seen Gemini really come up as well. It's one of my favorites. But ChatGPT is also just really great for giving small business owners a hand in whatever they need in their business, whether it's content creation or strategy or doing research, helping with day-to-day problems. So I wanted to show you guys the few ways that you could use it throughout the day. The monthly cost, there is a free version. If you can spend the $20 a month, I highly recommend you do that just so that you can get the ability to create the custom GPTs, which I'll show you what those are, but that's really where you can take ChatGPT and create these little AI employees for your company. On average, people can save 10 to 15 hours a week just on routine tasks. And we're going to go over what some of those might be. Let's talk about how to get there. So chatgpt.com, you just make an account and you could decide to have the free version or the paid version. You do not get the ability to create your own custom GPTs, which is what these are in the free version, but you can still use them. So that's just the big difference. I wanted to talk about how to personalize your ChatGPT experience. So one of the first things is I always recommend going into settings, and you could decide how you like your appearance. You could do dark, system, which it chooses, or light. You can also create accent colors. So this is your chat bubble and just random buttons throughout the platform. Of course, I picked orange. You could detect your language. I just have mine on auto. And then if you want to do a speak to speak situation, you could choose your language for that as well. You can choose the voice that you use. So if anyone, here, I'll show you an example. You could choose Breeze. Let's see what she sounds like.
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to working on some cool stuff together.
So you can pick how you want your person, your ChatGPT to sound. And so I like to play with that. You can toggle this on or off, whether you want to show the different models, and I'll show you what a model is. Notifications. So you can get push responses. So I have this on mine. If I'm running an agentic search in ChatGPT, it tends to take a little bit longer. And so I do have it ding on my phone when it's done. I have my tasks going to my email. I'm going to show you how to set up all of these as well. Projects can go to email, and then recommendations as well. The personalization area is pretty interesting, and I want you to think about how you're using ChatGPT before you go in and do the personalization. So if you're using ChatGPT just for your job and you just have one job, then I think it's a great idea to customize your instructions in here and personalize it. However, for me, I use this for Jam AI. I use it for consulting clients. I use it to figure out my astrology or whatever I want to look into that month, just a lot of research stuff. So I don't have my personalization on. However, I do have some custom instructions to not include hyphens. I love having my Google Drive connected because I could call in certain documents that I'm working on. I could have it search through my Google Drive. I had it actually review my Google Drive, and it came back with a organization template, which I'm going to show you guys because I'm proud of it. I ended up doing it. So in our shared drives, like, look how organized this is. So that was all from ChatGPT, which is great. You can also pull in your email. You could also pull in your calendar. I like to do that as well because one of the things that I have shown Club Jam members before is how I set up tasks. And so when you set up a task, it's really like having an assistant for you. And so one of my tasks, the ChatGPT has to look at my email and my calendar because I say, hey, what do I have going on today? Who am I meeting with? What are we meeting about? And so it will provide an email to me every morning after it looks through my calendar. And it also does a little bit of research on who I'm talking to, and it'll send me that email every morning. So there's also a bunch of other things that you could connect to. So if you see something in here that is exciting to you, go ahead and click on it, and it should kind of walk you through. I know we do have some Microsoft users, and for a while it was pretty anti-Microsoft, but I see we have Teams and Outlook and SharePoint, so it's getting a little bit more diverse, which is great. Schedules are the tasks that I was talking about, and so you could manage them in here, or you can go and just chat. So you can see I have my workouts, I have my weekly content pillar idea. So at Jan AI, we have specific content pillars that we've developed from our AI marketing modules, and so it sends me every week what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I did pause this because I was traveling, but it was review my Google Calendar and summarize my day. So here's what the task looked like. It was search my Google Calendar for today's events and provide a detailed summary of my day. Who am I meeting with? What we're meeting about? Start and end times, locations, video links, attendees, names, and emails if available. Any linked documents and potential conflicts. So I should have unpaused that. I want it back on. All right. So that's a little bit of what the schedule and tasks are, which are in here. And again, if you wanted to create a new one, you could go to if you want to edit them, you go to manage. But if you want to create a new one, you just chat and you would say help or create a task every night at 7:30 p.m. Remind me to watch a yoga video. I don't know. So it'll go in and ask you a few questions, and then it'll schedule the task. Oh, I guess this one didn't have any questions, but it's just simple as that. And if you click these three dots, you could edit it, pause, or delete it. I'm going to delete because unfortunately I don't do yoga. I wish I did. Okay. So back in the settings, yep, with that data controls. So this is one where people are wondering if they should do on or off for model improvement. I actually usually have this on. Oh, I guess when I upgraded it, disabled it. I didn't realize that. So I upgraded it to the business account. So it says that it automatically disables training. But if it's on, what it's doing is it's allowing your conversations that you're having to train the models, and it does make ChatGPT better. However, if you're somebody who's very, worried or interested in your security, then you could just toggle this off. Remote browser data and remember site data between sessions. This is for your agent mode. I leave this on because the more that my ChatGPT can remember, the better. And I'll show you what agent mode is in just a moment. Shared links. These are links that I actually don't know what these are. This is a brand new thing. Let's see. Oh, I see. Sorry. When you are chatting in here, you can share it. And so if you have like a really awesome conversation with ChatGPT and you want to share it with somebody on your team or your sister or whoever, you can hit share and it'll create a link for your chat. And I feel like those were called something else. But you can manage your shared links here and delete them, or looks like you could hit the source it and see what the chat was. Archived chats. So all of your chats usually end up over here on the side. And then once it gets too long, if you like just having a very neat and clean situation over there, you can archive them and then to see them. And then you could manage and go see them. If you want to archive all your chats, you can. And then if you want to delete all your chats, you can do that too. So you are creating kind of this profile, and ChatGPT is remembering what you're talking about throughout all your chats. Even if you're setting up a new thread, it's still kind of remembering who you are in the context of what you're doing. And so when I would recommend deleting all the chats, and I just did this for a client of mine, is he and his wife were sharing his ChatGPT account, but he was really trying to use it mostly for his business. But then she did something with dogs, like she was fostering dogs. And so every time he'd ask a question, it would bring up something about dogs in her company. So I was like, you got to get her own separate account. Let's delete it all and start over, just so we can have a clean, fresh start. Okay. And then I have a personal workspace and a business one, so I could merge those together, but I'm choosing not to because I am trying to keep all of my kids stuff and PTA stuff and astrology stuff. I'll put that all in my personal account. All right. So security, you could have a sign in for your authenticator. I can never say that word, and I'm going to try. But you could have your app help you sign in, and you could log out of all other devices. And yeah. And then if you want to have a GPT builder profile, you do it in here. And so we have like every GPT that I build is connected to my GPT builder profile. And so I like to get feedback of people who use my GPTs, and I have to figure out a new picture for that. That doesn't look good. Anyways, if you are building GPTs and sharing them in the community, that's when you'd want a GPT builder account. So that's a little bit about the settings. I'd like to just take a pause. Are there any questions about the settings aspect of ChatGPT?
Cam, you said you had your Google Drive connected. How did you do that organization setup in the drive? Like, what did it do?
Oh, like how does it see? What does it see? Or
Yeah, like, what does it see and how does it like? How did you get the pictures in there and that kind of setup in there? Did AI?
that part? You know what? So what it did is it reviewed all of my Google Drive, and what it was a total mess. Flora knows it was a mess. So it was, I had like we had different courses back then with different names, and everything was just in one spot. So it actually came back and it recommended the structure. But as far as like building each folder, I had to come in here and build each folder.
Got it.
It just gave me kind of like a consultant review of what I should be doing in there.
Okay, got it. And then earlier you had mentioned that you did an agentic search. What is that?
Okay, great call. So let's see here. There's a couple different ways to use ChatGPT now. So you can see here, there's company knowledge, deep research, agent mode, create an image, and then these are the connectors, which we'll talk about. So if you just go here and you type a prompt like create a 30-day marketing plan for Jam AI. So if I just do that prompt, it's going to use its history of what we've talked about, along with what it's trained on, along with best practices of what it's finding on the internet for a marketing plan for Jam AI. This is a very bad prompt, by the way. But if I changed it, let's see if it's done. So if I changed it to agent mode and said, create a 30-day marketing plan for Jam AI, it's now going out. See, the thinking is on. It's now going out and it's researching. Specifically, Jan AI is specifically looking at 30-day marketing plans. It says here it's setting up its desktop. What that means is that the AI is literally researching for you. So you can see here it's researching AI training course marketing plan strategies, right? It just went to I don't know what this website is, but it's going to websites that I didn't tell it to go to because it's on agent mode. The examples that OpenAI uses to explain this, I always find they're just so not relevant for what we need, but their favorite thing to show is that you can like place an order for a DoorDash through chat, or you could help it find like Southwest Airlines travel itinerary for you. But those aren't necessarily like applicable to the business, but they're, I guess, good examples of how it's kind of acting like an assistant, going out and doing things for you. You can also see it takes a lot longer. And then if I were to click deep research, it does a similar thing, except for it's going to look at more academic papers. And so I wouldn't necessarily do it for something like this, but I'll do deep research when I'm trying to find like facts, site sources, things like that. Thanks for writing that down, because that's a good example of the difference. And then there's also this one called Canvas. So if you select that, this is one that I recommend for writing longer content, because once this is done, I'll show you, but what it does is it'll actually open a separate window right here, and you could edit inside of the document and kind of type along with it, rather than having it regenerate an entire blog article again. If you just wanted to change a little part, you could do that in Canvas. Any questions on this part? Cool. All right, well, we'll come back to this. I'm going to let this keep running. That's why I had so many windows open. The other thing I want to show you is projects. So projects are over here on the left-hand side, and these are now available on both the free and paid accounts. And projects are a great place for those people like me who have specific clients that you're working with, and you don't necessarily want what you're doing with them to change what ChatGPT thinks of you and what you do most of the time. So you have a one-off, or maybe you find that you're super interested in a new concept and you want to start learning about something. I would create a project for it. And once you create it, so we could just do like real estate investing. So now this is my project. And the other cool thing is you could add files. So say I was already really great at real estate investing and I had a bunch of PDFs or proposals or contracts or whatever went along with this. I could add the files here. So you can add documents, code, images, PDFs, whatever you need to do, and add those in here. Oops, not going to do that right now. So yeah, any questions on the projects.
Can you turn a chat? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you turn a chat into a project after you already started a chat or a couple of GPT chats?
I think you can now. Let me see something. I remember seeing, yes, thank you. Move to the project. And this one actually needs to be in there. So thank you.
Oh, sorry, Jam. Is there a way to collaborate on projects with fellow colleagues so they can see what you're working on or they can see files and you guys are working on the same sort of content?
So I know you can share the chat. I don't think you can currently invite people into your project. I haven't seen that yet. Because I've looked for that before and I've had to share this chat. However, you can share GPTs, which might be a good option if that's something that you're kind of looking to do. So, do you know what GPTs are yet, Lindsay? Do we talk about this?
I mean, I know like a nugget, so I definitely need more education and training on it.
Okay. Yeah, because the difference between a GPT and your why did I keep reading the name? Project. I keep wanting to say portfolio. Is that all of your chats will be inside of this project. Whereas if you use a GPT, like this is one I created for a client yesterday, and she's going to share this with her team, but you can see it doesn't have all the chats in here. However, she would add her chats over in the chat area here where it just keeps all your chats. Okay. Let me show you a couple other things. So there's
Yeah.
all these. Yes.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but on the question about the collaboration, if you have a Teams account, you can share and collaborate on projects.
Oh, really? Okay. Because we have that now. I'm going to have to dig into that, Tony. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But then, of course,
You know-
to have a Teams account is $30 per team member.
Yes. And I don't see any buttons. Oh, wait. You're right. So I could probably, yeah, right here. So if you do the Teams, you could do share and then anyone at Club Jam with the link. That's great. But yeah, again, a Teams version, which I don't think a lot of people have. Okay, moving along, there's all of these up here. You guys are probably familiar with new chat. So when you want to start a new chat, you just hit this. And then I use this a lot, search chats. I had a multiple ChatGPT windows open throughout the day, and sometimes I'm like, oh, where was that chat about XYZ? So you can come in here and type in a few words that you might remember from your chat, and it'll bring it up, and you could just pick right back up where you left off, which is nice. The library is any sort of like photos or documents that you've created with ChatGPT. And so if you want to see what you've created, you could see in here. I don't use ChatGPT very much for images. And then coding, this is more for developers. However, I just had one of our members try this for a email that required HTML. And so this is the same type of thing. If you say you have an email platform that you're using, like ConvertKit, or I use Kajabi, and sometimes I need to use the HTML version. I could copy and paste my text in here and say, put this in HTML for my platform. Otherwise, I think this is probably a little bit out of our wheelhouse unless we're actual coders. And then Atlas is their new, I just did a post about this, I think last week, but it's actually their new browser. So it's the ChatGPT browser. I do have it downloaded. Somebody in our community wrote on our post that they don't recommend using this yet because there's some security flaws. And I had not had time to follow up on that, but I'm planning to look into it. But I'm sure they'll fix it. And basically what it is you can use ChatGPT just as you would as a browser. But then right here, there's a little button where you could hit Ask ChatGPT. And you could basically chat with ChatGPT about what you're looking at on that webpage. You can also have it do things for you. The experiment I've been trying on all these AI agentic browsers is usually with LinkedIn. So I'll go to LinkedIn and I'll have it write messages to people without sending them. I like to look at them before they're sent. But it'll draft messages for prospects. So far, the Perplexity's comment has done a really good job of that. I have not tried it yet in Atlas. So this is brand new. They just added this button last week. So check in. We'll report back in our communities what we learn about that. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. The last thing I wanted to look at was the GPTs. So if you have the free version, you still have access to this page. So all I did was hit explore GPTs, and the URL is chatgpt.com/GPTs. And custom GPTs are basically versions of ChatGPT. Think of it like somebody lifted it up, took it out. Oh, sorry about that. And just trained it on a very specific thing. And how they trained it is they did two things. So they could give it instructions on how to act, but they could also upload a bunch of knowledge to it and kind of put specific knowledge into its brain. So when you come in here, you can see all the featured ones, trending ones. There's a lot by ChatGPT. There's image creation ones, writing. One of the examples I like to use was a business plan. So somebody wanted to create a business plan. They went to Explore GPTs and typed this in. And then you can see all of these come up. And it says what it is, and then it also says who made it and how many chats it's had. So you can see this one's done by a company, AIResearchPlus.com. It's had 300,000 plus chats. Whereas, let's see, let's find a lesser known. This is a guy, Kadin Akbar, but he's had 5,000 plus chats. But like this guy, Redmi, he made one, it has 8. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying that one's better than the other. Everyone has to make one and launch it. So if it just has a few chats with it, it doesn't mean it's terrible, but it could either be new or terrible. So just make sure you kind of check that out. I always like to try the really popular ones. So we'll go ahead and just try this out. You just hit start chat. And then it usually has a few buttons to get started. Oftentimes when they're built by these bigger companies, it might try to sell you something, or they'll try to take you to their website at some point. So also just be aware of that. I don't know what that means. Never seen that before. Let's try that again. Oh, so his pitch builder might not be working. Test. Yeah, well, let's see if there's another one that's working better. And then I'm going to show you the back end of one as well. So let's look at Scholar GPT, which is the top picked. So let's see. Tell me about what should we ask about? Space travel. Oh no. Well, this is why I don't do things live when I do keynotes, because this always happens. Let me see.
And if you're wanting to build a GPT, can you privatize that, or is it only public? and it's only public and option.
Yes. I want to see if my thing works. Okay. Yes, let me show you that. Sorry, I just want to see why I was getting all of those declines. Okay. So let me jump into one of ours so I can show you the back end. So this is the Club Jam GPT. And so it's trained on everything in Club Jam. And I'll show you the back end of it. So when you're building a custom GPT, you give it a name, a description, and then here's where you give it the instructions. So I gave it all instructions about Club Jam. And then I also gave it knowledge. So it has all of our workbooks. It has just specific trainings. It has other things, a lot of content about Club Jam. And then what you were asking about, let's see, good update. I feel like something might be going on with ChatGPT. Let's see. So this one has access as invite only, but you can change that as well. So if you just hit the share GPT, you can make it invite only, so nobody can have it unless you invite them. You can make it available with your teams. So if you're in the Teams account, you can make it public where anyone with a link can go to it. And then you can make it very public where it's in that GPT Explore store. And if you do that, that's where you need to have the builder profile and things like that. So invite only is the most private. So
Thank you.
sure. Any questions on GPTs?
Is this something that you would recommend over like uploading all of this information to Notebook LM as an example, if you're trying to like train your team or work on sales strategies or whatever it might be?
You know, it's funny. So I use Notebook LM to create the knowledge content that I'll upload to a GPT. So I use both, and that's a really great question. So Notebook LM can take so much information and condense it in such specific ways that I find that it's a great pair to use together.
Jam. So earlier you showed the project. What's the difference between using a project versus creating a GPT?
Yeah, great question. So the project will remember your chats. So here's a project or this client. So in the project, it'll show a couple of chats, right? Whereas if I'm using my GPT, when I go there, it doesn't have all my chats there. It's more kind of like starting a new conversation every time you use the GPT, whereas the project is really remembering what you did. In the knowledge, when you start the project, you can kind of put in like your end goal as well. And so it knows it's kind of always working towards something specific, whereas the GPT is more just like, oh, I need to use my marketing director today, like John Pierre, who Claire uses. So she doesn't want a project for her marketing because she uses this for so many different things.
So in a GPT, you can't access past chats that you've used with that GPT. But I'm not.
Yeah, not in the GPT. However, you could always go and find your old chat in your chat history. But in the GPT, it's not going to remember. In fact, it's kind of frustrating because I love using our $100 million money model one. And every time I go back to start a new thing, I have to retrain it and upload my business blueprints and tell it who I am again. And so it's not as it doesn't have that memory that the project has.
And this might be a dumb question, but why would somebody post it in a GPT store? Like, what's the benefit or advantage of doing that?
No dumb questions here, first of all. I think a lot of people are just like clout. It's also a way to promote your business. So let me find them not by GPT. Like you can see all these like Dolly image ones. Like this #1 logo created one was created by logogpts.cn. This one, consistent character.ai. So they're kind of promoting their businesses in a way. And you'll see like you'll be using one and then all of a sudden it might be like, are you liking this GPT? If you want more like this, go to, and then you'll see a plug for their business. Real estate agents specifically, I've been working with a lot of them. So like all the listing creator GPTs, all the big real estate agencies and firms have them. And so when you start using them, they're either trying to solicit you to buy or sell your house with them or bring you on as an agent in the GPT. So yeah. GPTs are really interesting to think about when you, for sales and marketing specifically. I got really excited about it when I realized that, some of my favorite books, nerd alert, are about sales and marketing. And so it was really cool to see that I could go and create a GPT based on this sales framework that I've been learning about and wanting to use. And then you could just go in and upload your business information and it applies that framework right away. So there's a lot of cool business cases once you start kind of seeing the opportunities that these custom GPTs can bring to you. Cool. Let's see here. Any other questions while I'm in the platform? I don't know why the GPTs weren't working for me. I wonder if I should try another one. Oh, now it's working. Now it just thinks that I'm chatting with it. But yeah, this one's kind of fun. You can see I've trained it on our exact tone. Like it knows everything about Club Jam. These are really great too because that's a really good example of you don't have to prompt, right? So if you create a really good GPT, maybe it's for your social media or something, you don't have to go in and do this advanced prompt. You could just be like, give me a TikTok for today. And it'll know so much about you and how it's supposed to act that it'll go ahead and give you a TikTok. Like, let's see. So just one TikTok idea for today. I don't have to tell it anything about me. It's already completely trained on what we do, how we speak to people, what we should say. So I just said, give me a TikTok idea for today, which I actually need to do one. So the AI tool that finds clients while you sleep, and then it wants me to show perplexity. So speaking of prompting, that is something I want to cover in our last little bit. Because part of AI 101, I think prompting is really important still, because if you don't have that custom GPT that's fully trained, you do have to be really specific. And so obviously you guys saw my vague prompt earlier where I said create a 30-day marketing plan. I didn't really know what to do. So you have to be really specific. And then one of the tricks I like to use that we do a lot of training on in the AI marketing is assign a role. And so act as, or you are an expert in, and then give your prompt. And it really just changes how your responses come out. You could even try like a test and say, you're an intern at XYZ, write a blog about whatever it is, and then try that same thing and say, you are a expert marketing director with 30 years experience in marine biology, write a blog about, and then give it the same topic. And I think it's a great way to see the difference of what the prompt will do. So you want to assign your role. You want to give it context, And so this this module we're actually in the middle of redoing in Club Jam, but it's important to know that we do have the business blueprint available. So, oh, actually, it's in Foundations. So if you go to the prompting area in our AI Foundations, we used to tell you guys to fill out this document called the AI Business Blueprint. So if any of you on this call have done that already, well, there's a new way. We now have Manus create our LLM training document for us. But this all relates back to this is provide context. So imagine the difference of your prompts if you go into ChatGPT and you say, act as a marketing director with 40 years of experience, and I've attached a document that has everything you need to know about our business. So that's the context part. If you can upload this LLM training document about your business along with your prompt, that is really going to give you some powerful information at the end. And then you want to be really specific with the task. So my original prompt that I said was write a blog post, but I would really want it to say, write a 500-word blog post, and I need you to cite sources. So whatever you need, just be really specific. And then define format and tone, professional, casual, friendly. If you provide a good context document that outlines your brand's personality and tone, you don't necessarily need to do that. Or if you're just trying to like have fun and keep things different. I know I was working with a video script the other day and it was just really flat. So I said, do it in the tone of Chelsea Handler, or do it in the tone of XYZ, put in somebody who might bring a little bit more pop. I just did my husband's company's holiday party announcement, and I had it write in the tone of Larry David. And it actually turned out really funny. So you could always try something like that. I am going to, the rest of these slides have business use cases of how you could use ChatGPT, and we have some example prompts. So obviously getting back to people on email is huge. Customer service. I like this one because like, if you're like me, I have a really hard time saying no to people, or like if I just don't have time, I'll say yes, but then I'll come back and be like, yes, but in 6 months. Whereas I should use AI to help me say, sorry, I can't do that in a nice way. So this is a good example prompt showing you how to do that. Content creation and marketing. There's a couple of prompts in here, but I think the ones in our training in Club Jam are much better. Brainstorming, problem solving, some example prompts there. Data analysis. We didn't get a chance to look at that today, but if you upload CSV files, you could ask it to create multiple different types of charts, graphs, bar charts, bubble charts, all types of stuff like that. And then here's some example prompts for data. Administrative and scheduling, we kind of talked about. I'm going to throw the rest of this in our up with our recording. I'm going to stop, and I'd like to just take the last like few minutes here and just see if there's any other questions before we end the webinar.
Jan, if I wanted to create like a content calendar, content creation as a project, would I take that document about my business and upload it into the project, or where would I upload that document?
Yeah, great question. Yes, you would upload it into the knowledge base in the project. Yeah, because then you don't have to do it every time you prompt. It already knows.
Sam, yes, Sam. Did you really get the agent to organize your files in your Google Drive?
Well, it gave me a plan. Like I said, it didn't go in there and do it. It gave me a plan, and I followed the plan.
Because that's something I need to do.
Yeah.
So the prompt is it'll be on the replay or whatever in the classroom, right? What you told to do.
I didn't say the prompt. So the prompt was I turned on my Google Drive connector in chat,
Mhm.
and I think I said something like, my Google Drive is a complete disaster. Help me get organized. Give me a plan to create my shared Google Drive. And it did.
Oh, okay.
And it was asking me questions and help me organize things.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. So we said, oh my goodness, the matter rate.
I just did that last Friday and it was amazing. Definitely. I love it. It was fantastic, and I was able to like put together all the frameworks. So now I can just throw all my documents in there, and I don't have to think about it.
Oh, very good.
I love that you did that. Good. Yeah. And another thing, guys, if you're stuck on something and it's computer related, you can take a screenshot of whatever it is that you're stuck on and upload that screenshot and just give it a little context of what you're working on and where you're stuck. And that's another great use case for ChatGPT as well. I feel like we could do a part 2 just of ChatGPT. But all right. Well, thank you so much for joining. I do want to just let you guys know. So tomorrow is our code build with me, and we're going to be talking about presentation development with AI. So if that's something that you're looking at creating, please join. The time's at 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's usually 12, but tomorrow's at 11 Mountain Time. So you have to update that. I'm doing another webinar at 12, so I'm going to move that around. And yeah, the week after we have Learning with Tony. Can't wait for that. And then we have our first AI automation with Kevin. And he's going to be talking about small business automations and looking at make.com. So I'm super excited for that as well. So, well, thank you so much for spending an hour with me, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Great.
Bye.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Right.